This is the story of the teeny little girl and the teeny little house. Once upon a time, a very tiny little girl was walking through the forest. The weather was turning colder, and the tiny little girl was searching for a home to stay warm in while the icy wind blew. She came across a piece of orange paper flying in the wind. Perfect, said the little girl. This will make a wonderful home for me. And she pulled out a teeny tiny little pair of scissors from her teeny tiny little pocket, and she folded the piece of paper in half. And then she took her teeny tiny little scissors and she cut a roof in each side of the house. Lovely, said the tiny little girl, admiring her new home, but I shall need a teeny tiny little door. And so she took her teeny tiny little scissors and she cut a teeny tiny little door right in the edge of the house. Now you must know that the girl wore a teeny tiny little pointed hat, so she had to make her door with a teeny tiny little point at the top in order for her teeny tiny little hat to fit through. The teeny tiny little girl walked through the door of her tiny little house, and it was very, very dark inside. Oh, I need to make some teeny tiny little windows, she said. So she did. Right here, next to the door, she cut out a teeny tiny little window so that she could see out and so that the light would shine through into her teeny tiny house. Well, just then, the little girl heard a voice in the wind howling, "Hoo, hoo, hoo, hoo." It was a tiny little owl, and he was very sad. "Tiny little owl, why are you so sad?" the little girl asked. "Oh, because winter is coming and I have no home. Boo, boo hoo, boo hoo hoo," sobbed the owl. "Oh, don't you worry, friend," said the tiny little girl. "I will make room for you in my lovely orange paper house. I will give you your very own door so that you can go through and sit in our very own house." So she took her teeny tiny little scissors and she cut a teeny tiny little door for the owl to go through. You should feel right at home in our little house together. So the teeny tiny little owl went inside his teeny tiny little door, and the teeny tiny little girl went inside her teeny tiny door too. And the two friends were safe and warm inside the orange paper house. And there they lived happily ever after. Do you want to see inside their house? Open up the door, and what do you see? But a jack-o'-lantern. Their house was the shape of a jack-o'-lantern. "Jack-o'-lantern, jack-o'-lantern, you are such a funny sight. As you sit there in the window looking out at the night. You were once a yellow pumpkin growing sturdy on the vine. Now you are my jack-o'-lantern, let your candlelight shine. Jack-o'-lantern, jack-o'-lantern, you are such a funny sight. As you sit there in the window looking out at the night. You were once a yellow pumpkin growing sturdy on the vine. Now you are my jack-o'-lantern, Let your candle light shine.